When did I get a message?
You have one new message.
Hey, JP, you fucking freak, we're partying. Where are you at? I'll chirp you later. Here's Sam.
Hey, JP, we celebrated the game tonight, so stop it.
Give me the phone. My name is JP. I'm a robot. I like robots. I have a robot vagina. I am not amused.
Better do your best.
What up, everyone? DJ Nubis here with you on the Military Radio podcast, doing another episode of When I Raid Alone. Going to be talking about a couple different videos I'll be reacting to. One by Asmongold and then the other one by Rev Desu. Talking about a couple of separate things here. The first video we're going to dive into, of course, is Asmongold pretty much talking about an issue where this gamer or streamer who's been playing WoW for a while, apparently getting death threats that now he's going to be leaving the gaming or streaming community because of those death threats. And the death threats apparently coming from people who are using bots to farm World of Warcraft and games like that, where they're making money on the side as a third party, which technically breaks the TOS of Blizzard, but Blizzard doesn't really crack down, or at least doesn't have a better way to crack down on it. I don't know what the answer is to it for there, but I hear a lot of people or read a lot of different opinions about how it's not that easy to crack down on botters, because every time you do, they find other ways to get back in and do something different. So I can kind of see why that's a problem. And the other thing about Blizzard is that they usually ban botters en masse. So like if they see like a bunch of them going on the server somewhere, they'll just wipe them out, right? But then you'll see like, single ones or scatterers out there that they don't even worry about the one and dones. Basically, they just don't care. And probably the other thing is, the argument about whether or not Blizzard makes money off botters is probably true in some regard, because if you're spending time on a server, an online server, that generates income for whatever studio is running the game. So whether it's Diablo 4, World of Warcraft, or some other online product, generating revenue through online participation is big. That's how to gain some money out of that. But as I said, this particular person was getting death threats from botters, probably from Russia or some other country. And so he took it upon himself to step away from the game. But and I don't know the full details until I've watched the entire video that Asmon's in. But this guy apparently was going and killing the bots, like killing these characters, and taking it upon himself to wipe them out, I guess. And so there's sort of like this white knighting thing, like, oh, well, Blizzard's not handling this, so I'm going to go kill these bots. So that pisses off the people that are doing the bots, who in other countries, this is how they make money. So whether you think it's ethical or not, either from Blizzard or from these botters, the reality is it's always going to be there. And it's not just Blizzard. This happens in a lot of games. But whether or not you think it's ethical or not, the reality is you are fucking with someone else's livelihood as well. So when you go and you start killing off their characters, whether you think they're doing it the right way or not, you're fucking with their money. And, people in other countries who might have lower incomes take a little more personal than Americans, because we generally have life a lot better here than overseas. So let's give it a whirl. We're going to go through this and see what he's going to say. I saw some of this already, but we'll just rewatch it, go through, and I'll talk to it as we come up to certain points I want to point out.
This is really sad. This is massively sad that this is happening, and I place the blame on Blizzard. This will be my last video.
Hey guys, so this will be my last video, and this might come as a shock for some of you. It was a shock to me as well, but the reason is fairly simple. I have, throughout the process of creating these videos, even though I have had fun doing it, I have received death threats multiple times. I received one 2 days ago. I received one this very morning. And I've been shared images from a Discord in Taiwan, as well as a Discord in Russia, with where my videos are being shared, and very descriptive texts about wanting to kill me, wanting to cut off my fingers and feed my hands to my family and stuff, family members and stuff like this. Very descriptive death threats.
Like a
and
hot
we're not
dog?
talking about getting killed in World of Warcraft. We are talking about getting killed in real life. I never knew that it should come to this. I thought that I was just killing bots and I didn't really affect anything. But apparently, there's an
Okay. So yeah, right away, this is what we're talking about. So he's killing bots, but at the same time, these bots are being run by people, whether in America or in other countries, where they're trying to make money as a third party. It does break Blizzard's TOS rules, which is term of service. So you're not supposed to have bots. Blizzard tries to handle it the best way they can, at least according to them. And who am I to argue? I don't work for them. I'm not there, and Asmon's not there. No one's there to know exactly how easy or hard it is to handle the situation. This is why I take a little bit of issue with Asmon's take that it's Blizzard's fault. Blizzard might be trying the best they can, but if they're not able to eradicate all the problem, then what else are you going to do? You can only do your best. But Asmon's always had like this axe to grind with Blizzard, at least within the last 5 to 10 years, because he doesn't like the way that they run their site with microtransactions and everything else. So he always finds a way to kind of put them on blast. But like I said, this is something Asmon needs to fucking learn, is it's not just a Blizzard problem. This happens across gaming studios everywhere with bots. It happens. Whether or not they have better avenues of knocking the bots out or whatever, the reality is that we don't know how much effort Blizzard's actually putting into it. But considering that Blizzard may have lost a lot of consumer base and gamers over the years, whether for the problems of Diablo 4 or World of Warcraft, the reality is, and actually Classic's been doing pretty good, but the reality is they do get some generated income through people being online and streaming and playing the game. So there is some income to be had there. So there is kind of like a, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. So they say, well, we got some bots, but we don't have a lot of other players right now. So we'll accept this for now. And really, it was kind of like under my assumption that most bots appear on like low pop servers because they can do more farming there with less people to worry about. But if this guy here who is complaining about death threats, if he was going around and basically killing these bots, well, again, you're fucking with other people's income, and so like I can't really feel sorry for you. You took it upon yourself to go kill them because you thought that, oh, they're in my space, I need to gatekeep this from these guys. It's by your own doing. You're fucking with people, and so this would be like a griefer trying to fuck with somebody, and then that person comes and fucks them up in real life. Like, don't fuck with people, man. Like, don't do it.
entire movement now where people are killing bots across all of the hardcore servers. And this
makes sense, right? I mean, these people, they bot for a living, like it's their job. For them, like, of course they're going to want to kill them. Yeah, obviously, it makes sense. Yeah, it's their job.
Affecting the mafia.
Yeah.
I don't want to be associated with any of this anymore. Personally, I'm not going to kill any bots. I will remove all of the videos on this channel. I will not advocate killing them. I would not report them anymore. I don't want any part of it whatsoever. Because I'm risking my life right now. And for what?
I want you guys to keep in mind that this entire issue is created by Blizzard. The bot makers are just simply people that are capitalizing on something that Blizzard allows to happen. This is all on Blizzard.
Well, okay, hold on.
The terrorist one? Well, yeah. I mean, there are. I know this might sound surprising, but there are a lot of people that don't want to die on a hill of a video game. They don't really care about this that much. It's just a hobby to them, and if it becomes unpleasant or not enjoyable, they just simply stop doing it. I think that's what most normal people would do.
Well, yeah, and this is what I'm going to address about his post. His comment here is that it is just a game. You have no control over bots, and those bots don't really affect you at all. Those guys are just doing their own thing. So if you're going out of your way to provoke other people who are, well, again, whether you believe in the ethics of it all or not, when you fuck with them, they're going to fuck with you back. Now, do I think it's life and death? No, but they may. Like I said, they from other countries might be lower income. We've talked about, I've seen videos of like, I think Zaru was trying to communicate with like this Spanish player who was only one person on this server. And he was like, it was kind of a better story than this, but he was like, you know, are you a real dude or you're a bot or whatever? It was like a real dude just farming on a server, but he didn't have the technology or computer software or money to move to a different server with a higher population. So eventually I think Zaru got him like another computer or something of that nature, which is a cool thing in him. But this case here, again, it is just a game. So why is this guy going out of his way to kill bots? Is he mad at Blizzard because they aren't handling it better? Like, what's the issue here? Like, it's just a game, man. Like, I played World of Warcraft. I'm still a member of World of Warcraft. I don't really play much recently, but I've never worried about anyone else on the fucking server ever, whether they're a bot or not. Never gave a shit about it. Like, I do my own fucking thing. Diablo 4, same thing. If they have bots, I don't care. I don't pay attention to that shit. I just do my own shit. So at this rate, like, he needs to take his own advice here. Like, don't blame Blizzard because it's just a game, right? Blizzard's not the one that's threatening this dude. It's not their fault. This is bullshit. This is scapegoating, and you're not holding people who are threatening this guy accountable for their own behavior. Likewise, this guy who's got the death threats is the one that's going out provoking these people by killing the bots. So be accountable for your own actions of what you're doing inside a game or out. That's really all it is. Blizzard like I said, we don't know how much effort Blizzard is putting into trying to get rid of bots. Like, this is an assumption by Asmongold about what they are or not doing. Like, that's bullshit. And if Asmon had all the answers, then why don't you fucking go get hired by them to handle some of this shit and do something more useful and productive? Like, rather than talking shit all day, and don't get me wrong, I like Asmongold, I do, but I don't agree with him on a lot of shit, or some shit, I should say. And this has happened to be one of them, because he always tries to bust Blizzard for this, and this, when you already know who Blizzard is. But we don't know how much effort they actually are putting in to get rid of bots. It's not an easy thing. I've been reading up on it. It's not easy getting rid of bots. It's not. If it was, it would already be done. But let's not shift accountability here onto Blizzard when it's not their fucking fault. This dude went out of his way to start fucking killing bots for whatever reason. And now those people whose livelihood are built upon that are pushing back and saying, don't fuck with me, motherfucker. I ain't playing games with you. It's not right to threat somebody like that, but I understand the reasoning behind it. Like, it's, you know, it's a whole different world some of these people come from. So, yeah.
Why would somebody want to have to deal with, like, getting death threats and harassed over, like, I mean, at the end of the day, like, let's keep in mind that, like, I mean, none of this really matters, right? It's just a video game. Nobody cares about this. It doesn't make any difference. You're not changing anybody's.
Bots don't matter. Exactly. Bots don't matter. So quit whining about bots. It's just a game, dude. Go play your game. No matter who it is, just play the game.
Life. It's not like you're fighting for freedom. It's just it's just people selling fake gold in a video game. And so like if that's causing you emotional distress, then why would you choose to engage in it? You see what I'm saying? Like, why would you do that? Because like, and again, it's something that I think that a lot of terminally online people want to do, because like they're so fixated around these issues because they care about them so much. But when you take a step back and you think about a guy that has a job, a family, a life, and kids and everything, like, do you really think that this guy needs another element of stress in his life? Probably not. It's just people breaking the rules to make a living. You're literally defending criminals now. I'm not defending criminals, but I am I am rationalizing them. If you create a system that can be exploited and people can make money off of it, you should in fact expect people to make money off of it and exploit it. And the fault of this falls on Blizzard, because Blizzard are the ones that have the control here, not him and not the bot makers. It's Blizzard's responsibility for this.
Again, like, you don't know how much effort they're actually putting into it. Like, this is just an assumption from Asmon. Because otherwise, show me the data, dude, that shows that they're not doing anything at all. Please, I'd love to see it.
And so breaking TOS doesn't make someone a criminal. I don't care. I don't want to get into that. It's not the point. If I don't know, like, if you're not emotionally, stable enough to have this conversation, that's fine. But I think that most other normal people here understand exactly what I'm saying, right, guys?
You know, as they usually say on Mitch Jones' stream, and for what? It's for trying to fix a 20-year-old video game,
right,
and ensuring the integrity of what Blizzard created back then.
That's why I stopped. I stopped caring about this the moment that I realized Blizzard didn't care about it. Like, as soon as I realized Blizzard didn't really care about botting and they didn't really care about cheating in the game, that's whenever I stopped playing it, or not playing it. Sorry, I stopped caring about it, because like the people that make the game don't care about it. Like, how?
That's why you don't care. It's just a game. Cheating, whatever. It's just a game. Don't stress about it. I mean, he's not even taking his own advice. He's all worked up. Oh, they cheated. They sold out. They don't care. Oh, no. Yeah, no, it's just a game, dude. Relax. It's just a game.
Could I care about it?
But this game is not what it used to be. And I'm not going to be the one risking my life in order to fix it.
Yeah, sure.
So even though that I love this game and I've played it for all 20 years that it has been out in all versions, and even though that I'm just a loser with no money, no job, who is addicted to video games,
well, he doesn't have a
I
job.
still value my life and my family's life above this video game. So thank you guys for watching, and I will not be seeing you in the next one.
Damn, that's sad. That really is sad.
No, it's not. He now gets a chance to go touch grass. Like, that's the reality. Go touch grass, dude. Like, I'm a casual gamer, right? Some of these guys, they spend so much time on the internet, they're detached from the real world. And that's a problem. And Asmon's one of them. He doesn't even really leave his house all that much. He just lives, sleeps right there with his little computer. So the fact that you can't detach from it and go do other things in life is problematic. It is.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that just don't want to have to deal with the stress and pressure that people have. And I think it makes a lot of sense, especially when it's something that's just a hobby. But you don't threaten to kill someone just because your business isn't working anymore? Well, of course you do. So, like, if you have somebody that's hurting your business and you can kill them and then have the business work, well, then why wouldn't you want to kill them? Of course. Yeah, duh. That's why they do it. That's why they're threatening him. Absolutely. Yes, fucking obviously. Yeah, so link video. Yeah, I'll link it. So it makes sense why they would do it. And also, like, here's the thing. It's not a CEO died. No, See, people, I understand that this is, it's a hard thing to understand for some people. There's a big difference between justifying and explaining. I'm explaining it. I'm not justifying it. I'm explaining why it's happening. And so if you can't understand why it's happening, you can never figure out how to make it stop happening because you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're thinking about. And so, yes, obviously, small issue to solve and ensure success. They should go to jail. Well, yeah. We also explaining why that CEO died. Everybody can understand why the guy shot the CEO. I can understand. Everybody can understand it. What are we talking about the Luigi thing for? Yes, I think everybody admits, yes, obviously it's logical why he did it. Most people that do bad things do them for reasons that in their mind make sense. The people that flew airplanes into the Twin Towers on 9/11, in their mind, they were doing the thing that they had to do. It's not like they were doing that thinking that they were the bad guys. They were thinking they're the good guys. Most people that blow things up, most terrorists think that they're the good guys. That's the way it goes. So if you can't understand that, I don't know what to tell you. So you can have empathy while disagreeing. Well, it's not about having empathy. It's about understanding a logical conclusion. That's it. Yeah, people are thinking, yeah, exactly. True people now make mistakes feeling with facts. Exactly, yeah. People can't think about things. They can only feel about them. It's really sad. Yeah, obviously it makes sense why people would be doing this. I get death threats every day. People, and it's a very good way of getting people to not talk about things or not do things, is that, well, we're going to threaten to kill you if you do it. And a lot of people just don't care about it that much. And so they say, all right, I just don't want to deal with this, right? I think that's it. Losing a job has something to do with losing existence. Only they should choose their source of money more deliberately from the beginning. Look, it doesn't matter. Like, you're talking about like shoulds. Like, anytime I hear the word should, I think to myself, oh no. Oh no. Here we go. Yep, yeah, this is it.
See, one of the biggest problems here is the guy in the video talked about playing the game for 20 years. And he and Asmund both apparently agree with the like supposed integrity of Blizzard and why Zach no longer plays World of Warcraft or is into it, right? But that's the thing. Like, Blizzard and their microtransactions and all the shit that's been going on has been going on for well over a decade. A decade. So for this guy who's been doing these videos to all of a sudden after 20 years say, I try my best to fix it. But you knew what Blizzard was. You knew how it worked. And I still don't know what he thought was going to come out of it by killing bots. Like, there's no virtue signaling or white knighting that you can do to fix that problem. Because, again, even when Blizzard handles it, it's like Hydra. You cut off one head and 5 more spring up. Like, you don't have a real definitive way to knock it out of the park. It's not botting is a problem across all of gaming. So it's not like something you could just boom and it's gone. No, it doesn't work like that. And that's the unrealistic expectations that Asmund doesn't understand. So he thinks he understands the problem, but he really doesn't. He just looks at it and says, oh, it's Blizzard. Now, if Triple G Gaming, or was it Double G or Gaming Gear, or whatever the fuck they are to do Path of Exile, if they had the same problem, but the game was awesome, Zach could be talking a bit of a different game. He wouldn't be putting those guys on blast. He would say, well, it's a hard thing to take out botting, yeah. But because it's Blizzard, it's easy for him to like just take his dick out and piss all over him because he doesn't like them anyway. He hasn't liked Blizzard in a very long time. He bashes them whenever he fucking can. And that's fine. It's his opinion. But the reality is there is bias there. So irregardless, like when you don't even understand that botting is a huge ass issue across the board, that it's not something you can just wipe out like that. And then you're trying to use them as a scapegoat for why some dude in Russia with a bot is threatening some other dude who's a streamer because that streamer's taking it upon himself to feel like he's got to be woke and take over and handle the business of why this game should be better and the integrity. Fuck that. Fuck that. Just play the game, dude. If you're enjoying the game, just play the game. If you're not, then just do what Zach did and walk away. Walk away. That's it. Go play another game. There's a gazillion of them out there.
Of course, people are going to do what's in their best interest. That's just what it is. I think this is really sad. This is massively fucking sad that this is happening. And I place the blame on Blizzard. Because even if you arrest all of the people, if you put every person that made a death threat towards this guy and every person in that Discord in jail, you know what would happen? The next day, they'd be replaced by more people that would do the exact same thing. The only people that have control over this situation is Blizzard. Blizzard can control the situation. They can stop this from happening. Nobody else can. That's it. And so that's the way I see it. You can understand why these things happen without sympathizing with the people who do them. Yeah, of course, right? And I think that makes sense. I think it's tragic. He actually feels scared about dying from some random freaks in Taiwan. I think it's always easier for somebody to say that who's not in that position. So like, and this is the thing. They have all my personal information and I have an idea of the kind of money these farms make. I know enough about the dark web and things you can purchase online to know I've reached my limit. I'm out. Yeah, so like it's always easy to say this when you're not the person who's being targeted, when you're not the person that's having this happen to you. But the reality is that when it is happening to you, I think that a lot of reasonable, normal people, this is the way that everybody, I think, makes decisions, right? Is they view the pros, they view the cons, which side is heavier, and then they go with that side. It's that simple. Like someone with a lot of money telling people not to stress about money. I don't think that's really the same thing. That's kind of like two different.
Well, no, it does have its place because it goes back to the botters. So, and I know he knows this, but here's the thing too. Like again, you're trying to throw shit onto Blizzard when this guy. It's one thing if this guy was just going about his business, playing the game, and people were threatening him for no reason. But there's a reason why they were threatening him. You're fucking with their income. You're fucking with their job. So, again, if you're just playing the game for what it is, and you already know this is Blizzard, this is what they do, they've allowed this, or you think that they don't care or whatever, you're just, making your accusations at whatever, regardless of what you think, it's not like this guy who's been streaming for 20 years doesn't know this. He's not an idiot. So let's not try to treat him as an idiot because he knows this. It's the reason why he took it upon himself to try to go kill bots. But that means you're taking time away from just doing your game to trying to do something that you feel like is some sort of martyrship. And that's ridiculous. So he brought it on himself. This isn't Blizzard's fault. This is his fault. And I stand by that 100%. It's his fault. You go fucking poke a bear, it's going to fucking beat your ass. It is. That's just how it works. You can't control what a studio does, no matter what game it is. You can't control whatever rules, whatever things they want to enforce, whether they can handle bots or not. At the end of the day, you can only be accountable for your own behavior within inside a game. Okay? It has nothing to do with Blizzard. Nothing.
Conversations, but yeah, when an internet troll takes your sends you your address, you start taking things a lot more seriously. Yeah, sure, right? Do you think death threats on the internet are so common nowadays that the threat is way too overblown by celebrities and such? I think that it's overblown because it's not penalized in a way that I think it should be. I think people that are effectively terrorists, because so you have to understand, why are people terrorists? Because terrorism works. That's the reason. Now, that might not be a popular thing to say, but people keep doing terrorism because it works. And so that's it. Clip it? Oh, you can. And there's going to be a lot of people saying, oh, I hate him, but he's right. And so, yeah, that's the reason why they do it. They do it because it stresses people out and it scares them. Of course. Absolutely. The people doing the botting receive death threats too. Everybody does. But I think the problem is on the internet, there aren't enough punishments for people that act out of line with that. And I think that a lot of social media platforms don't really put enough effort into trying to curtail that kind of behavior. I'll read a few more of these. Effective might be a better term. Well, effective means it works, right? What do you mean it works? Well, like, for example, terrorism.
It drives fear. So if you're somebody who is getting into an argument. So let's look at Nick Fuentes, by the way. I don't know much about him, but I know he's like some sort of like conservative mouthpiece, right? Streamer or whatever. Well, he managed to piss off a lot of people. And so he literally just had somebody show up at his door with like assault weapons and all sorts of shit trying to kill him. And apparently this person had just got done killing 3 other people prior to showing up to Nick's door. So that's the sort of thing. So if you're a streamer and you piss off somebody or a group of people, they're going to come and they can find out where you are. Well, that's what they're going to do. Look at Sniper Wolf. She shows up at some dude's house. Whether or not she was going to do anything nefarious, we don't know. But the reality is she showed up somewhere she didn't belong. XQC, his ex-girlfriend, like he had like a what do you call it? I can't even think of the name right now. I'm just drawing a blank, but he wasn't supposed to be near his girlfriend and vice versa. His girlfriend shows up at his door one night and he has to call the police. So that's the kind of shit. Like, but even though that's a little more personal with them too, because they already knew each other. The reality is that these people that react this way, whether it's male, female, whatever, and they threaten you or whatever, they feel like they're going to get what they want. And as Zach did say, which I agree with, they feel like they're in the right. They feel like, oh no, I deserve to do this. This is the right thing to do. I need to scare this person so that they don't fuck with me anymore. And that's what they do. And you can take it up another notch to terrorism, which again, 9/11 or whatever, they think they're sending a message. And at the time it does work for like a short period of time. But then as all humans, we tend to kind of just regroup and not dwell on sorrow and dwell on fear. And then we just kind of go back our natural way of living, not worrying about shit until it happens again. Then it starts all over. It's like a never-ending cycle.
Is really good at getting average people to not speak out or fight back against something. Like, for example, this is what people have done like all throughout history. That's why you have like public executions and stuff like that. The public executions isn't for the criminal, it's for the rest of the people that would be criminals. And so you make people afraid of you, and then you make them scared that I don't want to step out of line because I don't know whether this is going to happen or not. And that's also the reason why a lot of like warlords and people do things in ways that are unfair, right? And this is actually it's a very good like hack for people's brains, is that people.
There was always like an old saying when it came to like, Rome and in the old days, like, when it came to dictators and tyrants and leaders, they'd be like, would you rather be respected or feared? And a lot of them would say feared. They want to control the masses. And so in terms of people that give threats, they would rather instill fear in you because they feel like that's going to work to get you to stop to do it. Look at what's happening with Smash JT and Alyssa Mercante. So she comes at him with a lawsuit to try to instill fear in him that he'll back down and not fuck or say shit about her or make videos about her ridiculousness, right? Problem is, in her case, is that she has a lot of shit out there that's very detrimental to her case. And so that's going to be an interesting court thing that happens, because a lot of what she accuses JT of doing is stuff that she said personally about herself. And people have taken snapshots of these tweets because, like, they're out there deleting tweets and all this other stuff. So they're going to be in trouble when Alyssa tries to sue him, because she's got a lot of incriminating evidence against her that the judge is probably just going to laugh out of the courtroom. But that's a whole separate issue.
Can predict fairness, right? Like, if you know that somebody is evil but fair, you can predict that, and it will make you less scared of them. But what makes somebody, and I think like a good example or a parallel.
That's pretty much the end of that video. So, yeah. So, no one should ever have to be dealing with threats. So the idea that this guy's like stepping away, it's a good thing. You don't want that at all. But I'm not going to reach out and say I feel sorry for you because you took it upon yourself to start fucking with bots and trying to kill them because you felt like Blizzard wasn't doing their job, which, even if they're not, it's not your responsibility to do that. They have report functions for stuff like that. I know that for a fact in Blizzard. So if you run into bots, report them. Again, we don't know how easy or how hard Blizzard's trying to take care of the problem, but the reality is, it is what it is, and you have to kind of just go and forge on and play the game as is. That's just how it is. Well, as far as like integrity, like, I don't care about integrity too much. Like, I do and I don't. Like, it's like, I'd rather have a game that I enjoy, and to me, worrying about botting isn't one of those issues. It's one thing if the botting was affecting me personally, but if it's not, I don't care. And I have a different point of view with microtransactions compared to Asman or Darth microtransaction or anyone else that tends to be negative towards it. Like, I don't really care because, again, it's accountability. No one is forcing you to buy anything. So let's skip real quick to Path of Exile 2, which a lot of these big streamers are crying about, oh, it's too hard, but this is what you wanted, right? The other thing is they say, well, it's free game. Well, sure, until you need stash tabs in order to continue on in the game. So you have to start buying these stash tabs. So it's not really free. So then they move their goalposts. They're like, oh, well, but the game's worth it. I'll put like $1,000 into it. Who pays $1,000 for a fucking game? Well, Darth does, of course, but the reality is, it still costs you. Now, you can argue all day whether or not it's worth it. To me, Diablo 4 has been worth it. It has its problems, but it's worth it for me because I enjoy the game. I don't care what you think about it. I'm not here to please you, and the game's not here for you either, the game, apparently, because you think it needs to be PO2 when it doesn't. And I made a whole video on that shit. It's like, I don't want Diablo 4 turning into Path of Exile or Exile 2. I don't want that. If you want that, go play it. That's what it's there for. I don't enjoy that game. Fuck it. I don't care about that game. I like this game. And I can come and go on it as much as I want. And then when I jump on, I can have as much fun as I want for a couple hours. And then that's it. I don't have to make a living at it. I don't have to be a streamer who blows through it through, a week and says, oh, nothing left to do. I spent 70 to 100 hours on this game. I just got nothing to do. That's not my fucking problem, bro. Don't spend that much time on the game. Hey, yeah, go touch grass. Touch some grass. Get out. Find a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. Go do it. Do something. But anyway, yeah. So let's get into our next video, which this is about a game called, this is about a little bit about Avowed, but more about Dragon Age, and I should have changed my thumbnail on that. But basically, they're kind of like tied into a little bit the same problem, right? So Avowed is being criticized for being woke, which is a thing that's come up a lot with gaming, and sort of the big ordeal between gamers and gaming journalists and gaming studios and developers. I've went on a long diatribe with this guy the other day on X, back and forth about, he's like, most game developers aren't at fault for why this shit's happening. They're just trying to do their job. And he might be right. That most of them might be doing that, but there are developers out there that are very much woke, and they're very much on social media pushing these agendas. And so, again, you've got this loud minority that's out there speaking on behalf of these other ones. So I would think that these majority of developers that aren't into this stuff would be more vocal about it, pushing back on these other developers that are kind of fucking over their games, because that's what's happening. These other developers that are woke come out, talk their shit about, want to service the minority of gamers, which makes no sense from a financial standpoint, because in the end, it should be about making money. If I'm a owner of a gaming studio and I have directors and developers in my arsenal of workers, my first thing to them is make a game that sells and makes money. That's what I'm here for, making money. I don't care about your agendas. I don't care about your activism. I don't care about your wokeness or whatever you're trying to push. I don't even care that you're a fucking blue-haired chick working for me. I don't care about that. Make a game that's going to appeal to the masses, not representing just you, representing everybody. And if you can't do that, then I couldn't have you working for me, because I'm here to make money. It's all about the money. That's how we survive, is money. So this is more about, though, the chick that was directing Dragon Age, Veil. And so Rev Desu, who's like this VTuber, pretty good dude. I watch a lot of his stuff. He's going to be talking about this video where the director is kind of like doubling down on Dragon Age and how it's, there's a reason to be progressive or woke going forward. But the game itself, even though it's done okay, it hasn't really, I don't think it's lasted that way. I think it's been kind of dropping off. But we'll watch the video here and see what he says about it.
Here. So today we're returning to the content goldmine that is Dragon Age, the Veilguard. Not to beat a dead horse at this point, but there's some more stunning information coming out about the people responsible for this game. That is thanks to an article by Inverse that interviews the director of Veilguard. And we start to learn a lot about not only this director, but really the sort of mindset over at BioWare that is obsessed with identity politics. And it's very clear based on what we're going to read that those views and all of those woke ideologies bled into their work and led to Veilguard being a game dominated by identity politics. Now, before we get into this article, let's learn about the players at hand here, beginning with the author of this article, Hayes Madsen. If you look at his Twitter account, you can see here he's a video game trends writer at Inverse, also has worked with IGN and Kotaku, and the bio just checks out at this point. Bisexual he, they. Now, pronouns in bio is just like assumed it's going to happen.
Yeah, and there was a funny thing. There was a person on X the other day that was saying, well, pronouns have been around forever for even just male and female. And it's true. But we never had a point until recently where people now felt the need to start putting their pronouns in the fucking bio itself. Like, it clearly is some sort of like trend or bandwagon type of virtue signaling that's going on out there. Because the reality is, if you're comfortable with who you are, it won't matter. Like, there's no reason for me to call you he or they. I can just call you by your name, which is Hayes, right? That's like, I could give a rat's ass if you're bisexual. That's your business. Like, I don't have any need to know that. And so the fact that they want to put all this information out there is really kind of stupid as fuck. Like, this isn't a dating app. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is just, nobody needs to know that you're bisexual or anything else. I don't care about that. At this point, if you're a job as a journalist, that's all I care about, is that you're doing your journalism with integrity, as well as like not spreading disinformation, which real quickly, we noticed the other day that game developer came out and started talking about this, where said when Sweet Baby Inc. was targeted for their advocacy efforts earlier this year, a Discord server and a stream community group played a role in that harassment. Now, that's not accurate. Now, luckily, someone put a community note correcting that, because the reality is, and I have to state it, is Chris Kindred from Sweet Baby Inc. took it upon himself to hunt down Cabrutus Rambo, who ran that group on a Discord server that had nothing to do with Sweet Baby Inc. in terms of like any kind of interaction, nothing to do with them. And the information he put on his server, he called it Sweet Baby Inc. Detected. This means he was making a list of games that Sweet Baby Inc. works on because they are a consultant group to bring in woke ideology. Love it or hate it, that's what they do. It's fine. That's what they do. Cabrutus had not bothered them at all. He only took information that was actually on their own website. But Chris Kindred, the employee at the time who's been fired recently, took it upon himself to go and start a harassment campaign against Cabrutus Rambo to get him not only banned, but get him kicked off the Steam for all his games as well. That was targeted harassment. Game developer, as a magazine, is lying to you. If you are anybody that supports a magazine like that, stop doing that. They lie. That is direct lying and misinformation.
With these games journalists, but am I the only one who finds it odd that someone in their work-related account would list their sexuality, their sexual preference? Like, why is that the first thing I need to know about you as a journalist on your work-related account?
Exactly. Has absolutely nothing to do with journalism whatsoever. Like, it's the dumbest fucking thing. This is the problem with a lot of these people with these games journalists now, is that they're not really even journalists. They're just activists, and they're out there just to peddle agendas and narratives that they want to push. It has nothing to do with integrity. It has nothing to do with actual gaming journalism. It's just about what kind of shit can we push onto the populace because we need to feel more important than we are. And I'm sorry, I have no problem with trans people or gay people or anything, right? But you are not more important than everyone else in the world. Like, you are the minority. I don't care if you hate that idea. I don't care if you aren't being seen. That's reality. You chose that lifestyle. That's you, who you are. It's fine. But that's your life. But that's not the majority. Just like the majority of gamers, we don't care about woke games. We don't. We might talk about them. We might laugh at them because if we feel like, oh, you're taking chicks or characters in a game and you're making them fugly as hell, it makes no sense. Now, again, we're not trying to force you not to make the game. Let's be clear here. No gamer is doing that. They might try to say that's what we're doing, but that's not what we're doing. Just because we're talking about it and bringing shit to light about like why this is happening does not mean that we don't want you to make the games you want to make. Now, we don't care that you make those games, but at the same time, these same people like Hayes and all the other people, Alyssa McConte and all that, they tell us that these games aren't made for us. But then they'll turn around and attack Stellar Blade or Black Myth Wukong and say that they're not woke enough or diverse enough. And then they tried to boycott and actually get those studios to shut down. They actually tried to change those games into what they have or what they want. That's far different than just talking about a game and saying that, oh, it's got woke shit in it, so we're not playing it. So whatever these people on the left keep trying to sell to you, it's a lie. It's a straight up lie. They'll call you racist, they'll call you bigots, they'll call you whatever. It's all a lie. It's all a lie. I'm sorry. Just even if there's a small pocket of fucking trolls out there that are like that, like the way they describe, a majority of gamers and moviegoers are not like that. We just don't want to be preached to about this, this, and this. And I talked about the other day when it came to a movie like Alien. Sigourney Weaver plays a character named Ripley who deals fighting off an alien that's killing off her crew on a ship. There was never a point in that movie where she had to turn to the fucking camera and say, this is what girl power looks like. We knew that because we already knew she was a badass. And Aliens certified that. There was never like, oh, I need to tell you and explain to you exactly that I'm bisexual, I'm non-binary. Yeah, and this the list would go on. Like, there's no need for that. And what's going on with directors of movies and series and game developers now is that they're trying to do that. They're incorporating all this stupid shit into the game that makes no goddamn sense. And it's fine. Again, you want to do that, but just understand that if the majority of people don't want to watch that shit, don't be mad at us. Because you made it for your crowd. You made it for your minority group of people. Again, your prerogative. Now, there's another argument I have to get into real quick before we go to the video. Is somebody was complaining, I think it was a trans woman or somebody complaining about Disney canceling some sort of trans animated show or taking out the dialogue for trans stuff in the anime or animation or whatever. And she's like, why can't we just have our voices heard? I'm like, well, you can, but quit using other people's money to do it. That's the thing. So if Disney's decided that they're not making money off the product that you're trying to sell to them, then they're going to stop giving you money because they're losing money. Again, it's about money. You may hate the idea of capitalism. I don't care. In America, in order to live, make a living, grow your business, whatever it is, it's all about making money. So if you want to be somebody to make a movie about trans lives or romance between gays or bisexuals, whatever, it's fine. Crowdfund it, Indigo, whatever. Do it yourself. Because this way you have control anyway of what you want to be in the film or in the game. Finance it yourself. Sooner or later, these gaming studios are going to learn that they can't just like keep throwing out money that's not coming back in return. And you can blame gamers for being racist and bigoted. It doesn't make it true, but you can keep doing it, but it's not going to change the fact that your product is not selling. It's not selling.
It's right next to his business email and all of his credentials. It's very strange. Like, imagine introducing yourself in real life and the first thing you tell the person you're talking to is your sexual preferences. It just seems very odd to put in a bio like this. Like, this isn't a dating website, dude. But anyways, if you search up certain terms on this guy's account, it all just makes sense. He's got the mind virus. Search up whites, and it just begins. A landslide of tweets about white people. This one saying, boy, I can't stand white people. Cue all the mad white people. Like, come on, this isn't important right now. And I'm saying that as someone whose entire career is steeped in video games. For reference, I got put on the list for a tweet I said, where I said, I can't stand white people. And it goes on and on and on. And I don't know really what this guy's race is at the end of the day, but like, dude, all this racism towards white people, it's like the calls coming.
He's literally white. But this is your typical white boy cuck, like white guilt dude. Like, this dude hates himself. That's what it is. They kind of out themselves every time they do this, because whenever you're complaining about white people and as a white person, it's clearly like self-reflection, like you're just hating yourself. Which, you know, you go do you. If you don't like yourself, you know, you could go unlive yourself or whatever, and I just don't give a shit. I really don't. Like, that's the reality of it all. I don't have time for your bullshit. White guilt is just ridiculous. It is.
From inside the house at this point. Like, come on, be for real. But anyways, let's get to this article, okay? So you can read the description here. Corrine Bush is the ruler of RPGs, conqueror of haters. The director of Dragon Age brings her personal journey to life in her games with a rich, messy tapestry of love, life, and romance. Live, laugh, love. As you can see, there's going to be a lot of self-inserting throughout BioWare.
Well, one thing, she won't be a conqueror of haters because the reality is what we just saw another article the other day about Concord and how that journalist said that people should have given it a real chance. But no, this Dragon Age is going to fall by the wayside, just like Concord did. Eventually it will, because it's not conquering anything. In fact, they've lost numbers. Like, it hasn't even really stood up and been a success like they really wanted. It started out nice, but then it just has dropped off dramatically.
It's going to be very clear based on the sections we're going to read here, but let's just address this whole thing about the conqueror of haters. The only thing that this person has helped conquer is the downfall of BioWare. I mean, this game is a abject failure. We know Veilguard is a massive flop. It sold only 1.5 million copies according to an insider. They projected, or they were anticipating, selling 10 million in the first 3 months, which they will never achieve, not just in 3 months, but forever. Their projected lifelong sales at this point are 3 million units. It's not great. But on top of that, you see this near linear slope, this decline of players over time. And what does this look like? This looks like a failed game where interest immediately died off. And also keep in mind, BioWare has already shifted its teams around. They are now working on Mass Effect, the next game from that franchise. So this is it. There's nothing else coming to Veilguard. This game is going to continue going lower and lower until it finally hits rock bottom. But let's continue on with the article right here. It says, as such, Dragon Age has always been incredibly progressive. Origins liberally featured queer romances, and Inquisition, the third game in the series.
Well, again, here's the thing. It's fine to be progressive or have different things, diversity, inclusiveness going on in video games. In fact, it's been going on for many years in gaming. They just don't want to acknowledge it. But as people have pointed out with earlier Dragon Age games, is that the stuff that happened in there that was progressive it made sense to the story. It wasn't like a big focal point, but it made sense to what was going on. When you listen to the dialogue, which I talked about in another video, the dialogue of Dragon Age and now the Veilguard, is the dialogue is written. It sounds like it's written by a 12-year-old. Like it's just very stupid. It's not very mature at all. It's very dumb. And so that's part of the problem too, when you have people that are writing these storylines, is that they're not being very creative at all. They're not making it make sense in terms of like the bigger picture of what's going on. And really, it's stupid.
Series has a whole plot line about a major side character being transgender. This allows the series to explore themes of identity and belonging in ways other RPGs can't, and Veilguard certainly sticks to that idea. This reminds me of that tweet that a former Dragon Age writer shared, or a Blue Sky post they share, because that's where all of the woke people in the industry are now posting on social media. But they said that Dragon Age has always been woke. All the games were always woke, and that post blew up in his face and also in BioWare's face, even though he doesn't work there anymore, because a lot of people just didn't want to hear an open agenda being shared. And that really hurt the PR of Veilguard at the time, because when that post was made and the backlash from it ensued, that was right around the time Veilguard was getting ready to release. And it seems like people are still running with that narrative. But let's now hear from this director, Bush, from Veilguard, and this is what she says. I'm an openly queer trans woman. It shaped everything about who I am, and it's been the source of a lot of joy, a lot of difficulty, and perspective. For me personally, one of the greatest gifts about being trans is the amount of introspection it forces upon you. You spend a lot of time deeply examining who you are and why that matters. For Bush, great games offer a mirror that allows you to reflect on your own identity, preferences, and choices. When developing a game, Bush says she is thinking about the role introspection plays on people in general and how each of us go through our lives having these moments of crisis, epiphanies, and those quiet moments when you're alone. There are questions that are ripe for personalized experiences like RPGs, especially when you consider our biggest creative pillar, be who you want to be. Now, this all just makes sense. This entire section just explains Dragon Age the Veilguard and what happened with this game and all of the self-inserts and all of the wokeism and the gender identity.
Now, personally, I don't even care about that because she's in charge of the game, and you know, if that's the game they want to make. But the thing that we have to remember here is, let's not pretend that this game is for a majority of gamers. It's not. And they actually kind of admit it when they say that this game is for me. This is her projecting into a game about herself, about her life experiences or whatever, and that's her right to do that, right? But now I don't know if BioWare knew that that was going to happen initially when they threw the money at the project or not. They probably did, but at the same time, if you're not going to make money on something, at some point, BioWare as a company is going to have to say to themselves, well, we got to make some money. Like, we can't keep doing all these like eclectic games that really aren't designed for a majority of gamers because they don't really identify with that, you know. Then they're going to have to find a way to like cut some losses and get people in there to make games for the majority of the populace in gaming. And this goes for any studio that's been kind of dabbling around with these woke games. Like, eventually they're going to have to get back to creating games where a majority of gamers are into it. So I keep hearing sometimes when people say, well, isn't there room for both? And there is. But the issue that we keep having and that no one's really addressing is that these minority gamers, these trans, bis, whatever, they're the ones that are trying to squeeze out the majority. They're the ones that are saying that we don't want sexy females in our games. We want these fugly people because they best represent who we are as normal people. And the thing is, I never really got on board with that, because if you're a trans person, and it doesn't matter if you're trying to transition to a man or a woman, I would like to think that your ultimate goal is to, one, be acknowledged as such, right? You want to be, if you want to be a man, you want to be addressed as a man. If you want to be a woman, you want to be addressed as a woman. Two, you generally want to look the best and most attractive as you possibly can. I can't imagine, even a straight person does not want to be ugly. It's never been that way. Now, you can be satisfied for whom you are and your inner self, your character, whatever. But even for me, if I think I'm a good enough dude and I think I'm nice, I treat my wife great, and vice versa. But do I think that I wish I looked like Chris Hemsworth? Sure. You know, why not? Why wouldn't I want to be like a very fit, good looking dude like that? Like, why not, right? Does she want to look like maybe classic Carmen Electra or somebody? Sure. But, you know, either way, you want to look better than you are. We all kind of have our insecurities and stuff like that. So when it comes to gaming, I don't care necessarily how the characters look. Now, again, in their games, if the characters look like ass because that's what they want, then I don't have to play it, and I won't. Now, if I wanted to make 20 videos about why I think it sucks, I could do that, but I don't feel the need to do that kind of shit. Some of these other guys do. I don't. But them getting pissed at Smash JT or Geeks and Gamers or Aslan Gold or whoever that talks about this shit, you know, they have a right to express their feelings on these games. You put out a product for the masses. They have a right to address that. Now you can address it back, but if you're getting mad because they're simply giving opinions about a game that's not meant for everybody anyway, you can't really be mad. Like you purposely made this game for a subset group of people because you felt like you needed to make a game that represents you. Rather than looking at the bigger picture, which any game that if I was a game developer or a studio at this stage, I would make my character creation and allow you to do anything you want. Because to me, that solves all the problems, right? You can be fat or skinny, you can be pretty or ugly, you can be non-binary or binary. It doesn't matter. Like I would make those options all available in character creation. As long as the game is good and I don't have to spend time worrying about dialogue about, yeah, mom, I'm not really I don't really have a sex, you know, like that's not a big deal. This is Dragon Age, dude. Come on. It's petty and stupid. But that's my opinion on it. Like they did what they wanted to do, whatever. But that's my opinion on that. But the reality is if I was making a game, I'd make it to where it just you can do whatever fucking character you want. But in cases like Stellar Blade, where you have one set character, that's what they chose to do. It's a beautiful woman based off a beautiful model. But these people on the left are all uptight about that. They're like, well, it's just for perverted like gooners. Like, even if it is, who cares? It's not your business. You don't have to play that game. Right. And so then it becomes more about their morals opposed to what your morals are. So then we're just crossing over into other territory because it's no longer about freedom of choice of what you want to play. It's about the left trying to dictate to you that, oh, you're a bad person. You shouldn't be playing this. We need to get this changed. We can't have these kind of games. No, we can't have these kind of games because it's just not games meant for you. And you have to remember that.
Politics that were weaved into everything. I mean, there's no other explanation than people on the team, including the director, having an obsession with identity politics and believing their role in making a great game is including these things into the story so people can be having moments of introspection. That's how you end up with scenes like this, the classic Barv scene. I mean, there's no other way to explain how this happened other than having people working on the team with minds like that. So let's just watch this cringe one more time, keeping everything we know from this article in mind.
Pounding that snake's nose, she's still holding the ruby in her other hand. Maker's panties, I was so proud.
Oh,
Shit. They're still holding it. Sorry.
Go pull a bar.
What are you doing?
Pulling a barv.
Oh, okay.
a barv.
Tradition in the Lords of Fortune from one of our old members, Barv. Good guy, but like most of us, his plans went sideways a lot. Bad blood among your crew's not good for morale, but there's not always time for big, drawn-out apologies. So when one of us screws up and we know we've screwed up, we do a quick...
Yeah, see, there's no need for this type of dialogue. This is like really petty, childish bullshit dialogue. Now, it doesn't change that the director didn't have a right, or developers didn't have a right to put this shit in there. This is our game, right? But if I want to sit here and criticize this because I think it's stupid as fuck and it brings no value to the game as a whole, then I should have the right to express myself that way. Like, I think it's dumb as fuck. It's not needed. And I'm sure Rev and a few other streamers feel the same way. So if I tell the director straight to her face that this is dumb dialogue, but the game's kind of cool, well, she'll still get offended because I didn't appreciate the dialogue. And that's a problem because they can't handle criticism. And that's a problem. Because rather than just saying, you know what, maybe it is a little bit not needed in this game, or maybe reevaluate how they approached the game in the first place, self-reflect on that, they rather double down and didn't just call you a racist or a sexist or a bigot. Like, that's their go-to, but that's where they lose the argument, because the minute you go to name calling, you've lost. You've already lost the debate. It's over.
10 to put it right. Pulling a barv.
Beautiful. I'm applauding. I have no hands on this model, but you can see I'm applauding right now. Beautiful writing, totally not a self-insert of really just a lot of characteristics of the team, but also their identity politics, making you basically the lesson here being you got to pull a bar and start doing some push-ups to make up for the fact that you misgendered someone in this game, which is just crazy. But continuing on, there's some more here. Those specific RPGs have a lot to say about identity and personality, and that's a topic that Bush has constantly wanted to explore in her work, how games can explore autonomy and choice. Bush has been open in the past about transitioning while at BioWare and how much the studio helped her feel seen and supported. Okay, it's great that people are supporting one another at a studio, but it's very clear that all of this stuff bled into their work. Okay, it wasn't just supporting a coworker at that point. It was an ideological push that ended up in their games as well. And that's how you end up again with Veilguard. But here's another section, a quote here saying, "It's not lost on me, it's not lost on the team, how important these games are in people's lives," Bush says. Coming into this game, that's a tremendous feeling of accountability and of needing to be true and authentic to what these games mean to people. When it comes
And that's something too, because she makes this statement, but then doesn't realize that there's a lot of diehard Dragon Age fans who abandon this because you decided not to think about them as well when you made the game. You only thought about yourself, and you only thought about your experiences, and you only thought about the minority of trans and binary people in the world that want to play the game, which is a small percentage. So in your grandstanding, you forgot about the majority that even got Dragon Age there in the first place. In terms of popularity, in terms of sales, everything else, you abandoned them. So you really didn't care about what it meant to other people, just cared what it meant to certain people.
to authenticity in games, plenty of directors and developers talk the talk, but Bush is a rare game maker who delivers. From her time with The Sims and Dragon Age, Bush has always brought a deep sense of humanity to the game, putting characters first and never shying away from nuance or complexity in identity, relationships, and existential crises. Yo, I definitely felt a lot of nuance in the Barb scene. I felt a lot of nuance and subtlety. It was very, very clever what they were doing there, but they continue on saying, it's what makes Bush a leader in the industry and why BioWare tried so hard to carry on the Dragon Age series legacy with Veilguard, but Bush isn't finished yet. She's come a long way in the industry and has wisdom to impart and more projects to come. So yeah, this is an interesting section to me because they are hyping up this director and acting like Dragon Age was such a success and they had such an amazing contribution. At the end of the day, this game failed horribly. It's going to probably lose BioWare hundreds of millions of dollars. And we're sitting there praising the director. And why are we praising this director? Why is this reporter doing this? Well, it's obvious. It all has to do with her identity. It's kind of weird. Personally, I think it's offensive to do this to people, to coddle people just because of their identity, to treat them differently, like they can't handle accountability or criticism. They were at the helm as this ship sank, and they're getting praised and told that they're like this big, amazing success, and what they did with Veilguard was revolutionary. They failed. They helped lead this game to failure in a
And that's the thing that's really, really shocking about where we are with the gaming community. So, like, when you have gaming journalists who are being that are pandering and basically not challenging some of these issues, like when they're just buying into it, because you go from the gaming directors and devs who are activists, and then you got gaming journalists who are activists. There's nobody else to challenge the status quo there. So what ends up happening is these studios who aren't paying attention to this, and then they wonder why they're losing money. Well, then these other people, all they say is, well, there's a lot of racism going on in gaming. That's not the issue. It's not the issue. It's just that this nuance that this guy says that she has, they can't understand nuance. They can't understand constructive criticism either. And so they take it personally and they start lashing out and then call people names. And then we're just running in circles. And so, yeah, I don't feel sorry for when devs lose their jobs. I don't feel sorry for when these gaming companies have to fold up, because you are the product of your own stupidity. You wanted to cater to the minority of gamers that, sure, they matter on some level, obviously. But when you're trying to make money and this is your livelihood, and you're a developer, director, gamer, streamer, company, studio, whatever, the idea is to make money. And if majority of gamers don't want what you're selling, then you're going to lose money, man, especially when you're dumping that kind of money into it. Because some of these companies have dropped millions of dollars into these projects, and it's like they don't even come close to making it back. And so I don't feel sorry for you as a studio when you're allowing this to happen under your watch. This is because you decided you were going to put money into these projects and not get any financial return. If I ran studio, like I said, I would never deal with this at all. Never deal with this. It's not that I wouldn't want my developers to be creative or come with fresh ideas and cool ideas, even if it meant adding in trans or bisexual characters. It has to make sense, and it has to appeal to the point that it appeals to everybody. So even if, so think of like Hogwarts Legacy, right? Now, granted, I think the trans person they had there as a bartender was more of a tokenism rather than an actual character that actually meant something to the story. But the reality is that's sort of the dynamic and the proportions that you need, because majority of Hogwarts is designed for a majority of gamers. It's there for the people that love Harry Potter and love the whole immersion of the world. And then you have this one trans person that, even though just being a tokenism, is still there. Now, I would have made the character a little more important to the story in some way, but not to where it overtakes everything else, because that's the reality of proportion. Now, again, if you want to make a game as a developer, director, or whatever, that specifically has nothing but trans issues and gay issues in it, that's fine. But if I'm your boss, I'm like, well, you go finance this. I'll help you along the way a little bit, but you are going to finance this. This is your project. You build it, you design it, and then you get the funding for it. And then I'll help you with the technical issues of getting it put together. That's what I would do. But for me to sit there and waste my money on that game that I know is not going to sell to a majority of gamers, I'm not going to do it. Wouldn't do it. It's career suicide. I would just not do it.
Commercial sense, and also a lot of people believe in a creative sense as well. So I think it's a bit offensive to coddle someone just because of their identity. We know, especially with this journalist who wrote this article, if the person who directed Veilguard was an old white dude, first of all, they probably wouldn't even interview them, but the tone of all this would be completely different. They would view this as an abject failure, and they would not be coddling that person. That's why these people are gigantic hypocrites when it comes to this stuff. But let's continue on here. So they also mention, it's a very interesting section, where they talk about Baldur's Gate 3. So they say, its influence is clear to see.
Yeah, I know Rev's going to get in this, but here's the difference. People have brought Baldur's Gate 3 up a lot. Difference is, this is where you take storytelling and make it work. So Baldur's Gate 3, I haven't played it, but apparently it has some woke stuff in it. But from everything that I've heard, it makes sense to the story, and it doesn't overtake the story, and it doesn't overtake the gameplay. So Baldur's Gate 3, if you want like an example of somebody who wants to talk about trans issues and gay issues in that particular type of in a game, that should be the blueprint of what you want to do, because they did it right. And that's why I'm telling you, gamers don't care about these things like they want them the way they want you to believe we do. They want to say we're just racist and sexist and bigots. But the reality is we don't care because Baldur's Gate 3 did very well. And it access to a lot of gamers. So people saying that Dragon Age is the same as Baldur's Gate 3 is bullshit. Baloney. It does not compute. It is not even close in the same hemisphere. And so that's the difference. So you make a game that appeals to everybody. That's how you do it right.
Especially in the 2023 Game of the Year Baldur's Gate 3, which heavily borrows from the world and party member design of Dragon Age games. That's very interesting to basically say that Baldur's Gate 3 was heavily inspired by Dragon Age. But here's the difference between Dragon Age and Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3 is an immense success. Right now, with an in-game player count over a year after its release, that is nearly 10 times higher than Veilguard that released a month and a half ago. This game has many, what people would consider woke elements to it, especially in the character creation process. But that's where it ends. And then the rest is having a fun, immersive experience. That's not Veilguard.
That's what I'm talking about. So you can create any character you want, any identity that you want. But the story doesn't dwell on that aspect. It goes into the immersion of medieval times, dragons, warriors, sorcerers, whatever. Dragon Age wants to tell you like a teeny bopper story about some fucking child who is dealing with identity crisis over the actual story and immersion of what's going on around them. They threw in, it's like, we decide we're going to make this story about this girl having problems with her parents and then throw in dragons and monsters around it and they think that it's going to work. That's lazy. It's bad. It's terrible.
Veilguard has the virtue signaling all throughout every step of the game. That's why it rubs so many players wrong, and that's why Baldur's Gate 3 is what it is, and it's really comical, especially after the dust has already settled on Veilguard, to compare Baldur's Gate 3 to Veilguard in that sense. But let's end up.
Yeah, I wonder if these same people that have been blasting all the gamers for being racist and whatnot, I wonder if they're blasting all the gamers that play Baldur's Gate 3 because what is your argument? Because Dragon Age is not living up to what Baldur's Gate 3 is, yet you keep trying to make the comparisons, but they're not there. So are all the Dragon Age players mad at the Baldur's Gate 3 players because they don't see it the same way as they do? Because clearly they think Baldur's Gate 3 is awesome and Dragon Age sucks balls.
This article here, this is the final section, the fight for progress and fates for Dragon Age. So the author here says questions about BioWare's future abound, especially with the team now pivoting to focus work on Mass Effect 5, a similarly long-awaited comeback for a beloved franchise. But in the immediate future, the studio has faced a different problem, a hate campaign that put Veilguard at the center of a kind of culture war on social media, along with plenty of hateful comments towards developers and review bombing on sites like Metacritic. Oh, geez, it turns out BioWare's the victim. Who would have thought in this whole scenario? No admission of failure here. The mistakes were made, or maybe the game just wasn't very good, or maybe some of the politics in the game rubbed people the wrong way. Nope, they're just the victims of a hate campaign, just like everyone else in the industry who ends up failing, right? But anyways, they continue on.
I mean, you know what just really makes me laugh a lot? In the golden age of gaming, so mid-'80s to, I don't know what, mid-2000s probably. That's really the golden age, right? So during that time, even when I was younger, going to the arcade and playing Mortal Kombat and stuff, like you saw people of all color, all sexes playing these games. There was never any like whining about, oh, it's not diverse enough in this Marvel game or Mortal Kombat, man. It's just too many white dudes, and they're just not actually too many white dudes, but you know, you just didn't have that shit. Diversity was always there. And then all of a sudden you just get these pocket of idiots that come along and they're like, progress, you know, gaming is just, you know, it's too white. And even though a majority of white, even though it's proven that statistically that most gamers are white, like the percentages are there. That's just how it is. But it just cracks me up that this was never a problem in the golden age of gaming when people supposedly thought it was so bad. That's what they're arguing here. They're saying that the fight for progress and faith for Dragon Age. So the fight for progress. Well, what progress are we talking about? Because the golden age never had any problems that you're trying to allude to. You think there's a problem, but a majority of gamers never saw a problem with it. So why, again, are we paying attention to the minority when you're the minority? We're not obligated to turn things around just for you. Like, we want games our way. We're the majority here. We pay the money. We're the consumer. And why are these studios obligated to throw tons of money at you for failed projects that nobody gives a fuck about? It's their logic is idiotic.
I think we should talk about it, Bush says. It's hard. I grew up in a time where I really felt like we're the ones to celebrate the games and to have these shared experiences, and that drive is still there. I think the discourse we see is the result of highly polarized times, and perhaps it's a little naive. I know it's hard when you have to ask the question, is this game for me? Do I belong here? And games are better for it when we can say, yes, you do belong here, which is hilarious because you have an entire industry constantly telling.
Yeah, it just goes back to her quote is so hypocritical because now I ask myself, in your game for Dragon Age, do I belong there? Because there's nothing there in the dialogue or anything else that I can identify with. So it's not meant for me. Yes? So then I would go and play Baldur's Gate 3 because that game at least is meant for me. Even if you have similar things going on in Dragon Age, Baldur's Gate 3 has what I wanted, and I don't have to worry about all this other bullshit. Again, it's not that you don't have the right to make a game that caters to the minority, but I don't want to hear the crying that it doesn't sell or doesn't make money. Like, that's the problem. You chose to make your game a certain way because you felt like you needed to make a statement. Whatever. It's your statement to make, but you're getting all mad at the majority of gamers who just don't give a fuck about this. I don't know what to tell you. You're the minority. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. In the grand scheme of things of making money, it doesn't matter. If the roles were reversed and the majority of the world was gay, trans, whatever, if the majority of the world was like that and I was the minority because I'm straight, I would have to deal with that reality. I would have to deal with that reality because that's the way it is. We talk about it just like with the election. Trump wins by a landslide on every fucking corner of the planet. The majority spoke. Contrary to what the media was trying to sell everybody, that Kamala was this close and it was going to be a dogfight and Kamala can win, and all this, it wasn't even fucking close. So you're asking me, because you're a journalist, you're asking me to believe what you say about this. When in the golden age, I grew up in that shit, dude. The golden age, we didn't worry about all this bullshit because the diversity and inclusiveness was already there. You could have characters that look so avant-garde or crazy. They may not have been trans by name, but they were there. It's just, fine. If you're going to make those games, just do it and shut up about it. Like, but people are going to criticize it because this is like a franchise game. And so if they see that their game's changing dramatically, especially with the dialogue. Like I've heard people say Dragon Age's gameplay is fine in terms of like the fighting and everything else. It's the story that sucks. So if people are criticizing the story, it doesn't make them racist, sexist, or bigots. It just means they fucking think the story's stupid as fuck. And it's pointless. You don't need to tell people, you don't need to hold their hand about what's going on in the story. Even if you had just one comment from the character saying, I don't see myself as a particular sex, well, fine. Let's move on to something else. That should have been fine for that moment with the parents. But go on to something else. We shouldn't have this other character doing push-ups because they misgendered someone. That's so fucking dumb. It's so stupid. It's petty. No one cares about that shit at all.
Whether it's men or white people, that they don't have a spot at the table in terms of being a part of the gaming community. So yeah, I think things end up pretty divisive and hostile. And games like Veilguard with their virtue signaling rub a lot of people the wrong way. They feel like they're being preached at, and that's divisive, and it's highly polarized, and they don't want to support the game. And, well, the proof is in the pudding because Veilguard failed. But anyways, that's going to do it for this slop article. A lot going on here, so
yeah, there you go. I'll link both videos into this description box. Like and subscribe if you like the content. If you have any opinions on this, you can flame me if you want or not. I don't care. Just be somewhat respectful. You don't have to be totally nice if you don't really like it, but be somewhat respectful. I don't want to have to ban you. But if you got comments, let me know what your feelings on all this bullshit. You might disagree with me, obviously, but reality is there's room for everything, but at the same time, Baldur's Gate 3 kind of had the right idea. If you're going to do inclusiveness, make it in character creation. You can make your character whatever identity you want, but the story has to cater to the majority of the gamers playing the game, including trans and bisexual people and gamers. We don't have to have those stories woven into the storylines. As far as the first video, again, if you're playing games and there's bots, don't fucking worry about the bots. Just play the game, man. Or if you feel like the integrity's gone in some reason, just leave the game. But don't wait 10 years down the road to decide, oh, yeah, Blizzard allowed these bots for years, but now it's the time when I'm pissed off about it and I'm going to leave because some dude's threatening me because I've been killing his characters. Like, you should have left a long time ago, bro, if it was that much of a problem, my opinion. Anywho, thanks for joining me this episode, and I will see you next time. I will say later today, probably in a couple hours, Kevin Lambert and I are going to get together for Cinematic Synergy to do the movie Split Second. Rucker Howard going to review that. And then this evening, I will be joining Sci-Fi Century on his channel to review the Godzilla versus the Astro Monster. So take it easy. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and